Hello, I'm Lisa, and this is step number 2 of Start Me Up Business Walkthrough. This week we're talking about budgeting. Now, you'll recall last time I mentioned the importance of being prepared, first of all, before you even get started with your business. So we're going to look at budgeting as a way to get prepared, basically, before we embark on that quest. So the business, you'll recall I mentioned, is a web development business, and that's what I'll be doing. But first of all, I'll be talking to you about preparing my really household budget, basically, is what it is. And that's because I find working in the industries that I do, a lot of small business owners get stuck with a lot of debt. And it's what they're doing is when they're creating their business, maybe they've used that business to solely support their lifestyle, and they may underestimate the costs of actually running a business, and they're taking drawings from the business to pay themselves or wages, and they're struggling because they've not estimated correctly how much they need to live on, and they're not realizing the costs that are involved in running the business, and they're falling short, and they're having to take on debt. To rather than putting that debt into business, often they do use that debt, although it's through the business, to fund their lifestyle, which is quite a scary thing in a lot of cases, because that is what happened to me. And you end up bankrupt. You literally, the debt. If you fall on hard times, like I did with the Christchurch earthquakes, lost some of my clients because they moved on and didn't replace them. And when I got the offer from ANZ Bank saying, hey Lisa, we're wanting to offer you some free money for 3 months, nothing to sign until you need to finance it later, foolishly I said yes to that debt. And that's really, when I look back now and see, yeah, I should have had the steps in place that I needed to be protected. So you remember last time when I mentioned that there'll always be somebody looking for handouts. They use any opportunity they can to literally, if you've got cash, to take that, whether it's through debt or any other way. And the banks knew my situation. They knew that what they were doing. And I didn't, and I should have. And if I had known differently, then of course I would have said no to their offer. But anyway, all we can do is move on from there and just make a vow to do better and do it right this time round. So budgeting. What are we going to do first? First of all, I'm starting doing this business, running it as a separate business to the regular income that I have coming in. And the first thing I want to establish is, does my regular income at least pay my basic living costs? Because then I'll know whether I need to be using that business to fund some of my lifestyle. Hopefully I don't need to do that. So let's work it out. So how do you prepare a basic budget? You'll see on the whiteboard I've got two headings here, which, sorry, I didn't write that down, is income and expenses. And now we're working this on a net position. So assuming if you're an employee, you'll be getting the money that comes into your bank as after your tax has been taken off from your employer. And so when you're dealing in cash, we just want to work on what cash we've got and what income we have in terms of cash for our household. With business, it's a little bit different, so we'll talk about when we do the business budget later on once our business gets going. So income, you'll see I've left that blank, and what I've done is I've listed my expenses. I've listed food, loans, rent, power, fuel, phone, and savings. Obviously, there's, depending on your circumstances, there's going to be different expenses you'll have in there. But the key thing is to list your essentials. It's so if your business doesn't work or whatever, do you have enough money to actually pay your really basic living costs? Now, what I've done also, the key for me, I found it was easier work, especially from a psychological point of view. If you list your expenses first, if you don't know your income, unless you know your income, of course, but leave it blank anyway. List all of your expenses and see what figure you get at the bottom. And in this example, I've got $560 is what my expenses come through. Now, this budget is worked out over a month. So if you want to know how am I going to know how much I pay for everything on a monthly basis, because, hey, my fuel, my phone and my power might not be the same figure each month, well, that's okay, because what you do is you either, if you're on a fixed, like your rent, I presume, is probably fixed, you can fix some of these other costs. Like I pay the same amount each month to my power company and also to my phone company. If I can't fix the costs, like my fuel, I look at over my bank statements and go, okay, for the whole year, I'm not going to spend more than $80 in fuel. So I use the maximum figure in my budget, which is $80 in this example. So that's how you do it. And when you do the budget, it's what you take it on what you have, what you're going to spend over the whole year. And you can easily work that out for your rent. If it's whatever, $200 obviously times 12, you'll know, and then just divide it. If you get paid on a weekly basis times your income on a weekly basis, 2 times that by 52, divide it by 12 to get the monthly figure, and the same with these. So put that down, and now you'll notice too, I've got a category, if I do it this way, sorry, you'll notice some things here. I've put X's next to food, and I've put X's next to loans. This mainly thing, because if your income is very tight and you are actually making a loss, or you're not quite covering your expenses, you can always get free food. So don't panic, use that, fill that in as the last category, because you can get food if you need it. But then, hey, that's me. You might be different. You might say, hey, Lisa, food's got to be critical. And that's okay. Remember, it's the budget that works for you, and this is how I'm doing it for me. So also my loans, I put that in because, honestly, if you become in debt, the banks or the creditors will not care if you can eat or not. They don't care about the rest of the stuff. Believe me, they do not look at your expenses, and that came out of the Royal Commission in Australia, where the banks only look at income, they do not look at expenses. Now, I believe that this is probably going to change, or has changed in some instances, whereas banks will be harder for you to get loans as such, because they will be taking into consideration your expenses. Yes, they do work out a base, like they work out kind of a budget to see whether you can afford the lending, but their main income and their only concern is how much you're earning up here. How much is your income, and is your income regular? Are you likely to keep earning income over a long period of time? And that's what they care about. So we'll do that. You can always, if you have to reduce your payments or whatever, but there's still a critical thing. But know that that you may be able to negotiate that. If you're in financial hardship, negotiate lending with creditors and get free food from the food banks if you have to. So, okay, so you've got your expenses. I hadn't included food, but if you can, and I've said, hey, $560. And so I better make sure that my income, because you want to get to a break even, so you have a zero. So your income is at least going to be $560. Or in the case of, say, it's $600, if I just take that off there, sorry, $600, and then I've got $40 left over, and then I can put food in there. So work out your budget to zero. You get a break even. Sorry, you can't quite see that at the bottom, but you'll get a break even. You want to know that all of your income is allocated to some category expense. So that's the way that I like to work it out. And before you even start your business, is to make sure that you've got your basic the household budget spending right, and that you are meeting your basic living costs. So that's all that I'm going to speak about budgeting this time. Next week we're going to look at the other two parts of the budgeting is doing a net worth position and also a cash flow forecast. And we're going to look at, next week we'll do the net worth, and the week after that we'll do the cash flow forecast. And you might say, hey Lisa, but this is a business. And I say, yes, you still want to learn that, because your income, your budget, and your net position and your cash flow forecast, you still need those things when you're running a business. So you just do them. And I've got some templates as well that you can use if you want to email me, and I will send you the templates. And if you don't want to do that, create the whole thing yourself, you can do it that way. But that's really all I want to say for that, is to work on that this week. Get your budget going, get your figures out from the bank, and actually put that down on paper and see, well, can you at least pay your basic living costs, and can you pay your lending that you've got on your current income? If what I see a lot of people who get into business, get into strife, is that they're using their business to fund their lifestyle, which is okay. But if they've not done that basic budget, well, how are you going to know how much income your business needs to generate to fund your living costs? If I've only got $500 worth of income, but my business expenses, at least if I've worked it out, I know that my business is going to need to give me an income each month of an extra $40 so I can know that I'm being covered for my living, because I'm continuing to do the work that I'm still working in now as a way of being able to meet my costs, and my business I will do on the side. And yeah, a lot of people just underestimate, they don't realise how much they're spending on living and how much their business expenses are. They don't consider some of the categories that they need to consider. So with that said, if you got a chance to do some research on your business startup idea, what is it going to take for you involved? And what I discovered was just looking at, getting started in business and researching it, is really the time factor. Have you got the time that, to commit? Do you have 5 hours, 10 hours a week or whatever to put this stuff in place, to get your ideas down and do your research and get the skills necessary? And that's what I learned. You've just got to sometimes say no to other things, say no to social media, and if it's not sending you on the path to your business idea. So that's it for this week, and keep on with those ideas. Next week, as I said, we'll look at doing a net worth position, and I've got some great pieces of magic which I will share with you in that. And let me know if you want the templates for the budget, and if you need any questions answered, please email me. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week for step number 3 on the Start Me Up business walkthrough. Bye for now.